Hi, welcome to the video. So I'm going to go over Daniel 9:26, which is a theologically loaded verse, and which has which has thrown people off course the large majority today. And I'm going to try to help understand that verse, help you understand it. If you go to the description below, there should be a link to the PDF that you see here. This is sort of a central hub. And it'll open up off my Google Drive, and as usual, you have my permission to download it if you go to the upper right. So first off, we need to know for Daniel 9:26. Let's just take a look at the verse first here. Let's just zoom in. Okay. So Daniel was praying already in 9:26, and after 62 weeks, Messiah shall be cut off, but not for himself. The people of the prince who to come shall destroy the city and sanctuary. The end of it shall be with a flood. Until the end of the war, desolation is determined. We're only going to go over the people of the prince who to come shall destroy the city and sanctuary. So who are those people, and were they responsible for the destruction of the city and sanctuary? I'm not going to go over anything else. But as usual in my videos, I go over acronym C tags. So right now I'm going to go over grammar. This is an example where people take what they hear, they believe it's true, and they bring it with them in Daniel 9:25-27, and they bulldoze, literally with a bulldozer, right over the grammar of the scriptures. When that happens, you have to say, whoa, wait a minute, maybe what I've been told or heard is not correct. God is not the author of confusion. What I mean by that, you can follow the basic rules of grammar of scripture. All right. So here we had 9:25, Messiah the Prince. That is the main subject. If you go to the next verse, it does not change. It's still Messiah the Prince. All right. Just because I don't understand 9:26, does not entitle me to make it whatever I want it to be and break the rules of grammar. If that's the case, just study the Bible more. Do more studying until this comes alive to you. The problem is, verse 26, it is theologically packed. It may take years. So I'm going to try to just give you a straight up answer what's actually going on here. So first we need to know, when was Daniel written? So again, basic rules of grammar. This is still, again, 9:26 is still talking about the main subject of the previous verse. Just basic grammar. In the next verse, the he is still talking about the main subject. It's Messiah the Prince all the way through. Alrighty. So anyway, first we need to know, when did Daniel pray? So let's go to the pre-Daniel timeline. Click there and zoom in. So it's right here. So King Darius' first year. So 520 BC, that's when he prayed. This is long before Christ came. If Jesus is Christ the Messiah, he came, and they answered Daniel's prayer, then he's Messiah the Prince. If he did not answer prayer, then he's not the Messiah, period. Then Jesus was not the Messiah. It's that simple. Okay? So this 520 BC, Jesus came in the first century. All right? So let's back up here. So now we know when. Alrighty. And let's go to Daniel 70 weeks simplified. All right. I have 1.3 gig service, and there's no way you can tell that I have that speed. There we go. All right. Anyway, so yeah. So know, therefore, understand, going for the command, blah blah. Alrighty. So I'm sorry, 26. All right. After 62 weeks, so this is right here. Okay, Messiah. Okay, Messiah is in the Hebrew means anointed. That's what the Strong 4899 is. So Jesus was anointed on the very first day of the 70th week, and should be cut off. He was cut off in the middle of that week. Alrighty. And who was he cut off by? By these people right here. Alrighty. We read about that right here, John 1:11, John 19, away from him. Oh, first of all, 1:11, he came to his own, and those who were his own did not receive him. All right. So what's in red are the people that he came for, the people of the Prince, people of the Messiah. All right. Now, Prince is ruler. The Hebrew there is ruler. It means judge. All right. Read that right in John 5, where Jesus said, "Authority to judge has been given to me." Alrighty. So anyway, so Messiah the Prince, he came. Jesus, Messiah the Prince, came to his own, and those who were his own did not receive him. So they cut him off. You read that right here. Blood be on us and our children. Away from him, crucify him, and no King Caesar. Okay. Alrighty. Are you with me so far? So these same people, who is to come now? The Prince who is to come now. That is the Lord's coming in judgment. Okay. Shall destroy city things because of the murder. It results in a coming in judgment. All right, are you with me? Because of the murder, the cutting off results in to come. The Jews, how they understood that. You go back to the Old Testament. Go back to here. Ancient days. Click on that. Oops, wrong thing. Yep, this is what I was looking for. So you go back to the Old Testament. This is the Lord's coming. Alrighty. So I encourage you to click on that and then go through the passages. So each of these are online. You click on it, it gives you the actual verse, and then read the entire chapter. All right. So that will help us understand what is meant here. Who is to come is the Lord's coming. All right. So Messiah the Prince, the Lord's coming. It's a severe judgment. It results in destruction. It is consistent with what I just showed you, the Ancient of Days. Oh gosh. It's consistent with this. Alrighty. So the people cut him off. They murdered him. Now it results in Messiah the Prince. The Prince part is ruler, where he has authority to judge. So now it's carrying out that judgment. Who is to come? Alrighty. So you see the flow. The murder. He's given authority to judge, Prince, ruler. Alrighty. And then carrying out that judgment. Shall destroy the city and sanctuary. But did Jesus himself do it? No. It's the people that do it. Did they get out a hammer and nails and do it? No. Did they get out a hammer and nails and pound Jesus on the cross? No. They're responsible for the murder of Christ. Are you with me? Same way, they are responsible for the destruction in the city and the sanctuary. How so? How can that be? So let's just go to for a day equals a year chart. Click on that. And we got to go to part 2 here. Okay, zoom in. So let's fast forward. Well, first off, before we go there, Jesus goes back to the Ancient of Days. He goes back to the Ancient of Days at the Ascension. Okay, so it goes back to the Ancient of Days. Acts 1, 6 to 11. Alrighty. And click on Ancient Days. It brings it back to Daniel 7, 13, 14. Alrighty. And so what did that entail? Going back up to the Ancient Days. Remember, I said up. That's what the verse says. And see here. He came up to the Ancient Days. No, it's a direction going up. Okay. So just like it was back in the Old Testament during the book of Exodus. You had Pharaoh. God hardened his heart. Now, did he literally harden his heart? No. What happened was, you read later on in the book of Exodus, Pharaoh hardened his own heart. So what happened was, what that means, when God hardened a person's heart, he just lets go. And then Pharaoh hardened his own heart. The same thing is going on after Jesus' ascension. About 28 years later, Paul writes, let's see if we can get, let me give you a verse here. I need a link that gives me a verse. Okay, so let's go to, like I said, it's a theologically packed verse. All right, it requires a lot of knowledge of the scriptures and how to piece together. That's why I said know and understand in Daniel 9:25. What Israel is seeking, it has not obtained, But those were chosen, so God needed the elect, okay, and the rest were hard, so he allowed their heart to harden. So 2/3 of Israel, based on Zechariah chapter 13, verses 8 and 9, he allowed them to perish, to harden. So their hearts were hardening. By 58 AD, when Paul wrote this, Romans 11, their hearts were pretty hardened. So by the time we get to 66 AD, as you can imagine, that's when the Jewish revolt began. Alrighty? So what happened then? How are these same Jewish people responsible for the destruction of the temple, the city, and the sanctuary? So let's just zoom in. So we have Jews did not pay their taxes. It's worded at tribute. Okay, so this is worth 216.5. So that's one reason. They took over the Masada, 217.2 in Word. You just click on it; it'll bring you right there. It's okay if you want to look it up. And then the third reason, the cessation, and the last reason, the cessation of sacrifice. So according to Josephus, that was the breaking point, stopping of the sacrifice. Back then, the Jews would offer sacrifice to Caesar. I don't know, to atone for the Caesar's sins and the people of Rome. I don't know the details of that, but all I know that they stopped, and that was the final straw, according to Josephus. So based on all three of these things, the Jews who were responsible for cutting off the Messiah, John 19:15, are also responsible for the destruction of the city and sanctuary, Daniel 9:26. Let's zoom in the red line here, and that's when Nero ordered the war on Jerusalem. Alrighty? So you don't take off Caesar like that and expect nothing to happen. So in that sense, they were responsible. Does that make sense? I hope. So now, so who was to come? Okay, so he was the prince, Messiah the prince. Jesus Messiah the prince. He was ruler. He had given authority, John 5. He allowed their hearts to harden, Romans 11:8 or 11:7. After he had ascension, he went back to the ancient days. He had the authority just like he did prior, and just like in the day of the Pharaoh, he hardened the Jews. Who evidently not choose, Romans 11:7. And so by the time 66 AD, their hearts were so hardened, and then as I showed you, they were responsible for the destruction of the temple. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. So hopefully now you can see this word people. It's the same people who crucified Messiah, the Prince. It's the same people who said, we have no king but Caesar. So Jesus basically handed over to Caesar, okay? Remember? He said, John 19:50, we had no king but Caesar. So Jesus hands them over to Caesar, all right? Allowed their hearts to harden, all right? And so in that sense, who's to come, that's the portion where Jesus allowed, the Messiah, the Prince, Jesus, allowed their hearts to harden, all righty? And then they, as a result of that, ticked Nero off. They didn't pay their taxes. They took over the Masada, and they did not do the animal sacrifices. And that's, in that sense, they were responsible for the destruction of the city and the sanctuary. They ticked off Nero to the point where he ordered the destruction of the city and sanctuary. Can you say Nero responsible for it? Well, wait a minute. They said we had no king but Caesar. So Jesus handed him over to Caesar. Okay, so Caesar, Nero, and the Jewish people are one entity at this point. When they say we have no king but Caesar, alrighty. So they're handed over as one entity. They're no longer with Christ unless God chose that person and changed their heart and whatnot. The 1/3 of Israel. So that pretty much covers it. I'm not going to go into the rest. My other videos go over this. I have a video that goes over exactly when the flood occurred. I can give you the exact hour that it happened, and then the end of the war desolations are determined. That's based on Daniel 12, the exact days, So if you go back to the timeline, you can see what all happened during that time. All this here. So it's a lot of information, but it's available to you if you want it. So. Alrighty, so I think that pretty much covers it. Hopefully it makes sense to you. So, but the most important thing I want to point out, basic rules of grammar. Alrighty? Just because I don't understand how, if I follow basic rules of grammar, this right here in verse 26, Messiah prints the same Messiah prints here. Just because I don't understand how that works does not mean that I can break the basic rules of grammar and just start doing all the gymnastics of the passage, which we do. You have to stop. You have to recognize, wait a minute, Messiah prints here. This is still talking about the same person based on basic rules of grammar. I don't see how this works. Therefore, I may need to give it a rest, do some more studying the Bible, read more commentary until the basic rule of grammar works. Then, what my view then fits with the Scriptures. Until then, if my view does not fit with basic rules of grammar of the Scriptures, it is contrary to the Scriptures. It's that simple. What I have just said to you, if everybody just followed that basic rules, we wouldn't be in the mess that we're in today. We wouldn't be having all these people making Jesus look like a false prophet. Like I said, I think it's 1 Corinthians. I believe 1 Corinthians. God is not the author of confusion. So having said that, that means you can follow basic rules of grammar of Scripture. Alrighty. So anyway, so we definitely covered the grammar, the C tags. C stands for chronology, T stands for time indicators, A stands for audience relevant, G stands for grammar, and S stands for settings. So we definitely covered the G of C tags today that I keep going over in my videos. So hopefully it makes sense to you. And now hopefully you can realize you don't have to dance around grammar. All right. Thank you, and hope you enjoyed the material, and wish you the best in your continuation of your studies. Thank you very much.